What are we listening to today?
The Immigrant Project by Girish and Astha.
Girish here back again on the Immigrant Project podcast, Asta behind the camera, and we are doing part two with Jane Katkova. She is an immigration consultant. Jane, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
So we spoke a lot about bad actors in our last episode,
Yeah.
and I want to focus more on US side of the business at the moment because Donald Trump was recently given the presidency for he's a 47 president now, and he immediately announced that there are certain restrictions he's going to bring, especially in terms of tariff, in terms of immigration levels, etc. So first of all, I wanted to ask you, are you getting any inquiries from the states of people trying to move here? And are you getting any inquiries from Canada of people trying to move to the US after Trump takes over?
It was actually really funny because I was in Miami for a conference on the night of the election, and I was of course watching. And then by 1 a.m., when it was clear that
Yeah,
Trump is an elected president, I went to sleep. But before I go to sleep, I check my emails
yeah,
at 1 a.m. on the night of the election.
yeah.
I received the first inquiry stating, get us out of the
Oh,
US.
oh,
And these inquiries continue coming practically every day, and not one, not two, not three. I had an inquiry from a professor of Columbia, uh, and who mentioned his wife and himself. I had a consultation with a retired couple from Dortmund. I had a consultation with a gentleman who is a nurse and his wife, who is an IT from Vermont. These people were talking to me. They actually paid money to talk to me, but also the amount of inquiries arriving. A woman, 90 years old woman,
90
she wrote to us that she has this many cats and that she can sell her house and just tell me what it takes to leave the country. And I had to ask our managers to just respond to her that unfortunately, most likely,
She's
we will not be able to assist.
oh no.
So this is a flow of inquiries that is coming from people who don't feel comfortable remaining in the country because of this new elected president. Yes, we do absolutely have these inquiries, numerous.
So he's threatening Canada, he's threatening Mexico. He's also said that there are around 11 million illegal undocumented
Yeah.
aliens in the country
Yeah.
who he wants to kick out.
Yeah.
So do you think all of these 11 million people might have certain claims of moving to Canada?
The thing that they won't be able to
They won't be
move to
able to.
Canada. No. So if these people ever made a refugee claim in the US, they would not be able to make a refugee claim in Canada. That is impossible. Their refugee claim would not be found
Applicable.
eligible
Yeah.
at the very first stage out. They will not be. So they would need to find other venues to leave the country. Uh, Due to the situation with immigration today, where we're seeing unbearably high score, where people simply cannot immigrate,
Hmm.
they will not be able to immigrate. Moreover, if these people were in the US illegally
Yeah.
and working and everything else, Canada demands a legal, even if we're talking about express entry
Yeah.
and skilled workers, they have to have a legal experience in their home country.
Oh.
And if they were working illegally, even
Then
if
they can't.
even as engineers
Yeah.
or as software programmers, they would not be able to substantiate it. So therefore they will not be able to come. So I think that for sure there will be penetration to Canada through illegal ways of some of those immigrants.
Yeah.
But I do not anticipate all of them coming to Canada in these huge groups
Okay.
because Canada will not be accepting them.
We anyway have a backlog, like you said. IRCC has a huge backlog of processing all the
But
applications.
it's not about backlog. Backlog is of
Separate,
those who already submitted. These people will not be able,
because
if
they're
they
not
are,
eligible to come.
they are not, they will not be able to submit because, or they will be refused while being wherever they will be, because they, the majority of these cases would not be eligible
Hmm.
unless you are a US citizen
Yeah,
who hates the upcoming regime
yeah,
and who answers all the requirements of the Canadian, of one of the Canadian immigration programs, and is found eligible. That person would be able
that
to come.
will be able to.
Yeah, but you have to be legal in the US and you have to be eligible to be selected by one of the programs.
Okay, let's talk about regime for a minute. And while US is going to change their regime, their government, we are still with the liberal government. And the liberal government a couple of months back announced changes in their immigration levels. They said that they are going to reduce the number of immigrants that are going to come to the country in the next 3 years.
Yeah.
The reduction is around 21%. They also said that the growth of population will remain stagnant for the next 2 years. So with this in mind, Jane, would you anticipate less number of inquiries, inbound inquiries of people from across the world trying to come to Canada and trying to inquire
Less
to you,
number of
immigrants in coming and inquiring now that government has reduced the reductions of immigrants in the country?
absolutely. There will be a less number of inquiries because people get educated. Today, understanding what is happening in the country with the country's immigration policies is a widely spread and well known, and it's all public information. People are reading. People are reading if, sources, right? And of course, there will be much less inquiries and there will be less immigrants. And hopefully, within the next years, they will clear the backlog. Okay, and I am absolutely sure that this government, okay, hopefully not this government,
Hmm.
because I am not vouching for this government at all and whatsoever. But I think that whoever will come next within couple years will see the detriment
Yeah,
of what they are doing because Canadian population is aging, people are getting retired,
yeah,
a lot of industries are utilizing the skills of the immigrants because Canadians don't want to work in those occupations where immigrants come really very handy. And very soon we will experience a serious deficit, just like we're experiencing a deficit in medical profession.
yeah.
And let me share with you something incredibly interesting. So we get a lot of inquiries from nurses. We get inquiries from nurses from the US
Trying
that
to come to Canada.
yes, because different people have different reasons.
Yeah.
And there are also nurses who don't like the regime. There are also nurses who just simply want to come to Canada,
Okay.
right? So, or we're getting inquiries from nurses from all over the world, including England and, well developed countries, fluent English, in some cases, fluent French. And here's the story about nurses. So, there is a full blown nurse
Yeah.
who has done all the testing and who is actually, imagine a lady who has gone through the licensing
Yeah.
by one of the Canadian provincial colleges of nurses, right?
Okay.
So here she is. She is almost licensed. Like the process is 95, 97% done. Now, in order to issue the license, she needs to have a job offer.
Oh,
So, and the job offer is impossible to receive because she doesn't have a license yet. That's the majority of colleges. So, can you imagine the amount of contradiction in the rules that our provinces have set? So we are screaming for nurses. We don't have them. And some nurses are screaming to work here, but they cannot get a job because the job cannot extend the job offer until she is fully licensed, but she is not fully licensed as far as she
she
cannot
doesn't
get.
have a job.
So how are we resolving the situation, the crisis, the critical situation in our health system? Are we?
It's a very juxtaposition.
This is this is the broken system altogether. It's not only immigration. It's wherever you are turned, you are finding some deep absence of rationale.
Do you think the government doesn't realize this flaw in the system?
I don't know what this government is realizing. I really don't know. I will tell you something else. I will tell you about something which is nurses is dear to my heart, because I think that all of us have experienced at one point or another a serious deficit of
Yeah,
medical professionals, right?
absolutely, yes.
Now let me tell you about what the government has just done with the businesses. So imagine there is a business in a different country. I can mention one of our clients. It's a very, very, very large Turkish company
Okay,
that is interested in bringing a super expertise. They are putting together stadiums of audience of 20,000 people plus. There is an exceptional expertise. So they are considering opening a branch in Canada and doing and transferring an executive from the mother company to Canada to build up on their unique expertise, which
yeah,
is known throughout Europe, and to build a branch in Canada.
okay.
Now the government about 3 weeks ago made it impossible because this company that is turning over $10 million a year is no longer eligible to transfer its executive to Canada, to the Canadian branch. You know why? Because the Canadian government decided that this company now is obliged to have another company, another branch in a different country, as operational as in the main country, in order to be eligible to transfer its executive to Canada. This is the newest
Wow.
that they have done to to the program. What sense does it make? How many Canadian companies, mining companies, IT companies do we know that don't have a branch in the US or in Europe? They are solely functioning and operating from Canada. Yet they are super successful, yet they are huge employers.
Yeah,
They are creating jobs for Canadians.
yeah.
Now, if they wanted to open up and transfer their person, let's say, to India or to Turkey or to Morocco, doesn't matter where, they will be unable to in case Turkey, Morocco, and India would have the same
Yeah.
regulation as we just introduced.
So we have a lot of red tape, and government is not ready to address those red tapes at all.
How do you, when we saw it, we couldn't believe our eyes. These are the employers that are bringing money, expertise, and job placements for Canadians. Why do you refuse them? How? What's the rationale behind?
Okay, Jane, for my understanding, has this been the case with Canada forever, or is this a rule implemented by the Liberal government?
It hasn't been the case forever. I found our immigration regulations fair for the most years of my practice. What is happening right now in our industry is mind-boggling, and it's unjustified, it's non-rational, it's erratic, and it's just bad.
Okay, let's paint a picture here. If Jane were to be invited in Ottawa to consult the government, would she go? And if she would go, what would she consult?
I would maybe answer the questions they would have for me. I am not a consultant to the government, but I would clearly have comments to make about the most recent developments, which are not substantiated.
Hmm. Jane, after talking to you, it feels like Canada is not painting a very glorious picture about their immigration system to the world. So if a student were to say plan and come to Canada in the next year or so, would you suggest them to come?
So, first of all, I just want to reiterate that a lot of students, I'm not saying that all students come only with the goal to study and to go back, but a lot of students do. Okay. And I sincerely believe that this system of studies offered for international students in Canada will continue. Parallel to the reduction of the number of international students that the government just announced, they introduced the pilot project for the appeals of the refusals for the study permit.
Okay.
Okay. So again, strange, right? So if there is a super bona fide application for a study permit, and every item that is a test is ticked, right? And they refuse,
Mm.
we will take it to the appeal court.
Yeah.
We will not leave it, right? Because it would be an unjustified refusal.
Yeah.
So I think that those who want to study in Canada and explore their options upon graduation can still come. Okay, if they are accepted,
Mm.
if they go and study, if they come to the programs, that there's a new announcement that you better, in order to be able to have a postgraduate work permit, which naturally you want to go and practice your skills in the country
Exactly.
where you just
Study.
were educated, right? So if you go to that program and you have received Canadian experience and you worked
Yeah.
actually, and your employer actually likes you, and you like the employer, and you like the country, and you want to remain, I think that in 2 years, when the new government hopefully will look into the situation and will understand that we need these people, we need them,
Yeah.
I think that they will have the opportunity to remain, in case they choose to remain.
Well, Jane, the future remains to be seen because the conservative government, who is most likely to win the next election, they said that they want to bring down the immigration level to the level of housing. Plus, they also want to reduce the tax so that more houses get built. That's a different conversation. But we are at the end of our second episode, and I just wanted to ask you one last question. If you have any last thoughts, any suggestions, any comments around the current immigration system for students, for people who want to come to Canada, any last comments?
I think that this country needs to continue receiving qualified, skilled, aspiring, hardworking people. I think that this country has been always basing its prosperity on us. I am still an immigrant despite I have lived here for so many years. And I think that whatever we introduce needs to be fair, not only to Canadians, which of course we come first because we are Canadians and we care about our country, but it also has to be fair to the future of this country. And this country has been built by immigrants.
That is beautiful. With that note, we thank you so much for being a guest on the show.
Thank you for having me.